All right. I have two things to say today, at least two. And I don't know if I'm going to split them up yet or not. I probably will. Number one, sometimes, sometimes what God is calling you to do doesn't make any logical sense. Not only to you, understand that it's not going to make any logical sense to your family, your friends, or probably to anyone else. And it's not supposed to. And it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, especially when, if you're like me, a super logical, analytical person, even though I do have a fantastic imagination. Not that I'm not a creative person, I am, but I always do what makes logical sense, even if people don't understand it. But also pray about everything, talk to God about everything. So it makes me think of, when Jesus shows up in the world and, randomly calls his disciples and says, hey, I know what's up, follow me, and their whole trajectory changes, no matter what they're doing, out fishing and working hard every day, providing for their families, or, being tax collectors, whatever they're doing, whatever path they're on, stops in its tracks. And Jesus says, follow me. This is what I have for you to do. So I guarantee you that didn't make any logical sense to anyone that he called. And I'm sure it didn't make any logical sense to their families or their friends. But if God is calling you to do something, then, he requires that you are obedient. So it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. And so if anyone else is in that boat, you've got to just submit to it, because it doesn't matter what situation you're in. And the situation that I'm in screams, do something completely different. But no matter how much I pray and how much I search and how much I try to figure out what to do, what God keeps saying to me is to listen and rest, and I will tell you what to do and when to do it. And, again, that's not something I can explain to somebody that doesn't, talk to God on the regular all day. It doesn't make any logical sense until you finally submit to do what he says to do, and there's another revelation that is like, I will tell you, more valuable than anything that I could have gone out and struggled for. And I have a lot of pressure and a lot of guilt and a lot of things that I need to get moving, but if God is telling me I'm handling it, then he's handling it. And it won't make any sense. But I tell you, the revelations that I get and the peace that I get when I do what he says is pretty incredible. So I think, there's so many things that I need to explain. But what I came to, I don't want to say this morning, because again, I couldn't sleep all last night, and I have all these things turning around in my head that I need solutions to. But honestly, it was 6:30 this morning when I finally shut down and said, okay, but I need to sleep now. And I did, for a good 11 hours, and I got a lot of information, which kind of blows my mind, But so what I came to this morning about what I need to express is, I'm at Matthew chapter 18, where Jesus says in verse 3 that except you be converted and become as little children, you shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as the little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoso shall receive one such little child in my name receives me. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believes in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. So true, God protects the people that come to him, that submit to his will, that submit to his understanding instead of their own. And that's a really powerful thing, and like faith is hard. It's hard. But when you think of the nature of a child, a child is so innocent and so curious and always looks to, his or her parents for the understanding that they need. And they have this faith in their parents that those are the people that protect them, that take good care of them, and that they kind of know everything. And as they develop, they have a kind of rebellion and will test and will see what's true and what's not. And I think that's really important for kids to do. And so for parents to know how to set healthy boundaries and to teach them to think and do for themselves, and to teach them eventually that, yes, like I provide for you here on this earth and I have whatever wisdom I have, but ultimate wisdom and guidance comes from our Father in heaven. And we have to be, no matter what age we are, we have to give God that faith and that commitment, and that know that there is a God. And if you want to think of it as a higher power, if you haven't, if you don't have an understanding of God or a supreme being, you have to kind of think about and recognize that there is an intelligence that you do not have a grip on. There is, a pattern, a mechanism, an intelligence, a super intelligence that you cannot comprehend. That is good, that gives life, that when we contemplate what life means and what is good and what is not, we have this inlaid mechanism. We have these feelings, we have this intuition, we have a compass, we have a moral compass if we're open to it, where we have this inner understanding of, okay, I can confirm what is good and what is not good. And so I think, we have to teach our children to do the same. And, as we have our dependence on our parents, as we break free from that, like, we have to maintain a state of learning and of healthy rebellion and of curiosity, and accept and humble ourselves before God and realize that we are just a fraction, we only have a fraction of this intelligence, of this goodness. And if we want more, instead of resisting this intelligence, like, we've got to seek it with an open mind and also have a respect for it that is unselfish, that is humbling. I don't know how else to explain it, that to know what God is to ask what God is, and to take the answers as they come and process what you have before you can get to the next level of understanding. You know, the same way a child grows, like we learn, we rebel, we examine, you know, we get pushback from authority until, you know, eventually you end up a stable adult. And for some of us, we take the long way. Some of us, you know, don't have a choice. And that's true for a lot of people. You know, eventually you've got to take the reins yourself and stop depending on what your parents have to say. Eventually you outgrow their authority. You become an adult and you've got to learn with your own mind. You've got to learn that we are all God's children first, and our providence comes from God, and that's, you know, emotional, physical, financial. There's a wealth of knowledge and understanding that is available to us as we grow. So that's why we have to come at this as a little child, you know, and have the greatest respect for this authority and this knowledge that we don't have, and always look up to it. Anywho, please like, subscribe, and share if that message means anything to you. I fully appreciate your support. I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing, whether it makes sense to you or not. So if you want to support me, or if you want to ask me more about any of this, I would love to speak to you. You can reach me by email, amanda.crosseyed@gmail.com for now. You can join the private Facebook group, send me a message, or just reach out to me if you know me personally. I love you. Have a wonderful day.